All right, so a little bit different video for today. There was some news on, I think it was Friday afternoon actually, that Redshift in the next version will work with AMD GPUs going forward, or at least certain GPUs. Now, they didn't release too much more information other than that, but I wanted to dive into that and see what that means. So let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, this news was posted in the Redshift Facebook group, which I am in. So, they referenced this post on the forums here saying how going forward in Redshift 3.5.15, AMD GPUs will be supported. Now, the current version of Redshift is 3.514. So, like I said, it shouldn't be too much longer. Now, they do give a little bit more information. They've been working on this for a while. In fact, I recall hearing about this many, many years ago with Octane, that it was going to come out on AMD GPUs. And at least so far, that hasn't happened. I think it was something similar for Redshift. But what they did say is that they will follow up with a list of supported GPUs. So we still don't even know which GPUs are going to be supported. There's no performance numbers, but I want to do a little bit of kind of guesswork here to see what this may mean because having to rely on nvidia gpus all these years hasn't been the worst thing, but if you've been keeping an eye on prices, they've been going up and up, and while performance has been increasing as well, it would be nice to have some other options and some more competition. So here's kind of what I'm basing this off of. This is a graph from Tom's Hardware here that kind of compares the just kind of overall frames per second at 1080p. So this isn't 1440p or 4K or anything like that. And this isn't for just one game. It's kind of across the board averaged out. And so that's why I think it may make for a good comparison to kind of get an idea with what types of performance we might be able to expect with AMD GPUs. Now, it could be a bit off from this. It wouldn't surprise me if it is. There might also be some other things to consider. I don't know how the ray tracing performance on AMD GPUs is going to compare to NVIDIA GPUs. It's possible that it may take AMD a little bit longer to catch up in that regard. Ultimately, we'll have to wait to see what the performance numbers are and how they measure up. But when you look at these, you can see that the RX 79 XTX 7900 XT, both of those, stack in game performance wise pretty close to the 4090 and 4080 with AMD's kind of newest generation or latest generation of GPUs. However, what's also interesting is even some of the other or older GPUs still kind of stack up pretty well. Whether it's the 65, 50 here, XT, yeah, I think I have that one pulled up. So you can see that they're definitely in the neighborhood here. And one of the things I thought was really interesting is that the prices compare, pretty favorably to what we're seeing now. Keep in mind, these are the prices on AMD's websites for the US. I know there's people all over the world who watch my videos, which I think is great. But there are also other companies, manufacturers that make graphics cards, board partners, as they're typically called. And so they may have cheaper prices, they may have more expensive prices if they have bigger coolers, the cards are overclocked, that type of thing. But if we look at the 7900 XT here, we can see it's $850 as it is right now, but we get 20 gigabytes of RAM. And that's one of the things that I've noticed when going through these AMD graphics cards is that they tend to have a little bit more RAM than the comparable NVIDIA graphics cards, which if you've done any heavy GPU rendering, you will know it can be very, very helpful. So 20 gigabytes here for the 7900 XT, and that is comparable to the 4080, which has, let's see, where did that go? 16. So not only that, it's this is 1200 and this is in pounds. Let's see, it's been a while since I've had to do um, the comparison, but I think that means it's actually quite a bit more in terms of dollars there. You know what? We can just do that. Okay, so it's closer to $1,500, right? And comparing it to the 7900 XT, it's almost like twice as much. Now, keep in mind that isn't the most the highest end here. That's the 7900 XTH X, and that one comes with 24 gigabytes of RAM and is still less. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how the performance stacks up here compared to, say, a 4080, 4090. But even some of the cheaper cards, right? Because not everybody can afford those high end cards. But the 6750 XT, which kind of going back to the graph here, 6950 XT kind of slots in next to a 4070 Ti. Um, is 419. While still super expensive, that does give you 12 gigabytes of RAM. And I think actually in the 4070 they did bump it up. But once again, looking at these prices, right? That's $732. This one's 419. Obviously, there are other things to take into consideration other than just performance and cost. I would think about power, depending on the type of power supply you have. I've put out a video in the past about kind of considerations, things that I think about when building a PC when it comes to doing 3D animation, rendering, that type of thing. And there's a lot that goes into it. So, if anybody wants a more up-to-date version of that video, let me know in the comments. I'll probably do something similar towards the end of the year again, where I come out with like a buying guide, but I really thought this was quite interesting just to kind of see how things stack up performance wise, price wise, and ultimately, we'll have to wait to see what ends up shaking out. I did check the benchmark kind of thread in the Redshift forums and didn't see anything there yet, was kind of hoping. Um, so yeah, it will be interesting to see. But that was kind of the big news. Somewhat related to this, I think it might have been shortly later in the day, perhaps even the day after. Red on the Facebook group again, Redshift posted that the NVIDIA driver kind of memory issue that's been prevalent for quite a while now, where Redshift would hog all the video RAM. And if you tried to use another application that wanted to use a decent amount of it, like Photoshop or After Effects, and that could lead to a lot of crashing. Well, they found a workaround or a temporary fix, and I found that very suspicious, the timing of that came shortly after the AMD kind of announcement. But I'm super excited for this. I would love to get an AMD GPU in my system. I'm thinking about maybe getting one just because I have a couple of other GPUs in my system. One, I have a 1080 Ti that could probably use updating. And it'd just be nice to get a little bit of competition. But once again, they do mention that this is beta support. And so with beta support, anything can happen. So, you don't know what's going to happen stability wise, performance wise, any of that. They may even decide to suspend AMD support for a while if they do find some big enough bugs. But ultimately, this is very exciting news, which is why I thought it would make for a good video. So start keeping an eye out for more information. I may decide to do another video if they do come out with quite a bit more information or some benchmarks, that type of thing. But until next time, that will do it for this video. If there's anything else you would like to see, please let me know. And until next time, take care.